Welcome to Tuesday's devotion. When I started this project of daily devotions and knew that my resource material was the book of Acts, I was excited because I, in a seminary class, had looked extensively at Acts and knew it was truly an adventure story. Not just a bunch of sermons, not just a bunch of miracles, but intrigue and good guys and bad guys and main characters that you got to know well enough that you understood their character quite well. And then I attempted now in these weeks of daily devotions in this time of isolation to look at the same material and I decided to just commit to those readings that are assigned on a Sunday morning. And I see a problem. The assigned reading just for Sunday morning don't touch on the adventure as much as I thought. The ones chosen appear to be those certain circumstances that maybe had a miracle, or maybe had a sermon from Peter or Paul, or something that could stand alone on a Sunday morning. But if we're truly going to see the adventure in Acts, we need to read some things that aren't assigned for Sunday mornings. What does this have to do with a stand of DVDs? Well, we are action movie fans. Obviously, unless you zoom in, you can't see any of those movies, but take my word for it. Perhaps that's why I like these part of Acts. So I'm going to read something that is totally not from a Sunday morning assigned reading, but it's exactly where our story yesterday ended up. Briefly, the story yesterday was the conversion of Saul to Paul. Paul soon takes over. Actually, his name hasn't been changed yet, but soon takes over from, instead of being against the Christians, being an outspoken advocate that Jesus is indeed the Son of God. That's exactly where we take up. Right after he's converted, people that don't know what happened still think he's one of the bad guys. That's where we start. Acts chapter 9. They were caught off guard by this and not at all sure they could trust him. They kept saying, "Isn't this the man who wreaked havoc in Jerusalem among the believers? And didn't he come here to do the same thing? Arrest us and drag us off to jail in Jerusalem for sentencing by the high priests?" But their suspicions didn't slow Saul down for even a minute. His momentum was up now, and he plowed straight into the opposition, disarming the Damascus Jews and trying to show them that Jesus was indeed the Messiah. After this had gone on quite a long time, some Jews conspired to kill him, but Saul got wind of it. They were watching the city gates around the clock so they could kill him. Then one night the disciples engineered his escape by lowering him over the wall in a basket. Back in Jerusalem, he tried to join the disciples, but they were all afraid of him. They didn't trust him one bit. Then Barnabas took him under his wing. He introduced him to the apostles and stood up for him and told them how Saul had seen and spoken to the Master on the Damascus Road, and how in Damascus itself he had laid his life on the line with his bold preaching in Jesus' name. After that, he was accepted as one of them, going in and out of Jerusalem with no questions asked, uninhibited as he preached in the Master's name. But then he ran afoul of a group called the Hellenists. He had been engaged in a running argument with them, who plotted his murder. When his friends learned of the plot, they got him out of town, took him to Caesarea, and then shipped him off to Tarsus. I could go on, but I'll stop there. Amazing details of an action adventure. Murder plots, good guys, bad guys, escape plans down walls hidden in baskets, and a proud hero speaking here in Damascus, speaking in Jerusalem, the big bad city, and then moving on to Caesarea and Tarsus. We can see that Paul got around, and we can see why in the end He knew more Christians, converted more Christians, and wrote back to more Christians. Truly, one of the great characters of our New Testament. And of course, a good role model for all of us in strength of character. And there'll be more action adventures coming soon. Stay tuned.